Great chance to climb there. It's about 18,500 feet, technical at times, and a great way to travel and see the country of Russia as well. Then we kind of kept this globe-trotting thing going, went down to Argentina, and this is Mount Aconcagua. And it's the highest mountain in South America, almost 23,000 feet. So now we're getting some pretty serious elevation up there and really testing ourselves. And each step of the way, we just would finish, we'd come home, go back to work, and put the gear away, and then start dreaming a little, well, what do you think might happen next? What if we, and we started getting online and researching, we get the gear back out, start training again, and off we go. So there wasn't really a master plan, but it sort of unfolded along the way. And this was a great adventure. This is at the bottom of the world. This is the Vincent Massif. It's the highest mountain in Antarctica. And we went all the way down there, spent a couple weeks down there pulling sleds toward our goal, and finally climbing up. You can see the weather was terrible that day. Very, very cold. So we're talking 20, 30 degrees below zero up on the summit. And of course, my dad just ventured back to Antarctica to ski all the way to the South Pole. So he's actually been down there twice. But this was a great adventure for us climbing in Antarctica. So at this point, we sort of found ourselves, hey, we're enjoying these adventures, we're having a good time. And we climbed 5 of the 7 summits, 5 of the highest mountains on each of the 7 continents. And we had done the middle 5. So there were 2 left. The lowest in Australia, which is only about 7,300 feet. You guys could hike right up that one, no big deal. And then, of course, the highest, Mount Everest in Asia. So we thought, all right, which way are we going to go? And we decided we'd love to save that Australian one for maybe finish off. That'd be a fun one to do for number 7. We weren't quite ready for Mount Everest. So we ventured to a mountain called Cho Oyu, and you probably never heard of it. It's the 6th highest mountain in the world. It's almost 27,000 feet, and we spent 6 weeks on this mountain, really learning how to take care of ourselves at high altitude, climbing rotations, using supplemental oxygen on summit night, and really it's a place where you find out, does it even make sense to go try to climb Mount Everest? And fortunately, we were able to summit after about 6 weeks. And just as you come up on the summit, this is called the summit plateau, so it's not like a pointy summit, it's flat on the top. Just as you come up and summit and celebrate, 6 weeks it took us to get here, and you're breathing hard and everything, you look across about 15 miles, and right there is the summit of Mount Everest. And sort of as we achieved one goal, we literally and figuratively could see the next goal. And felt like, okay, we tested ourselves, it makes sense to give Mount Everest a try. So we descended from Cho Oyu, came all the way back home, and started getting serious about climbing Mount Everest. And that dream or that goal started really to come into focus. And that's one message for you as you start thinking about something big you want to do, whatever that is. Go to a certain college, or get, win a CI championship in a certain sport, get a certain grade, whatever it is. You have to really see that goal. So for us, this became the image. We want to make it to the summit of Mount Everest, and of course, make it back down, right? Because getting to the summit on the big mountain is only halfway. You then want to make it all the way back down as well. So we really ramped up our training. This looks like a mountain, must be really far away, but I bet some of you have been up there. Anyone know what mountain this is? Only about an hour away. You can see it off the freeway. Nice, Mount Baldy. Excellent. Raise your hand if you've been up on Mount Baldy. Oh yeah, great. So we would, down here when it's really raining and blustering in the winter, and you kind of just want to be inside, those are the days when we would say, perfect, let's go climb Mount Baldy. And we would get all our cold weather gear and go up there and do some serious climbing to get up to the top. Yeah?
I did that in February of 2008.
Nice.
When I was little.
Well done. Yep, same kind of thing. This is probably in about February. This is going up the Baldy Bowls. We're using ice axe and crampons. Really blustery weather, but great training in terms of taking care of ourselves. Navigation by GPS and cold management, keeping yourself hydrated, all the things that you guys know are important. So we train on Baldy. Now this is kind of random. This is actually training for Mount Everest. We went up to a friend's house up in Mammoth, and he put a ladder in front of his house. We put on our boots and crampons, and all this gear's back there. Make sure you look at that and touch everything, try it on the way out. And we walked across ladders. Now that may seem like, what the heck are you doing training for that? How's that going to help you on Mount Everest? But keep that in mind, because a little later, you're going to see that that was actually very helpful training. We went up the side of this guy's house, people were driving down the street looking at us, what were all these guys doing up there? Are they painting? Are they trying to break into the place? What's going on? But this ended up being really good training for us, and we'll see why in just a little bit. And then we also had fun with this. You just go find an old car tire, wrap a chain around it, hook it up to your backpack, and drag it around on the trail. And I know that seems like the stupidest thing to do, but it's really, really good training. We started this technique when we trained for Mount McKinley in Alaska and Vincent Massif in Antarctica, where you pull a sled on snow. So we simulated that. And on Everest, you don't pull sleds. This is just so hard. We're like, yeah, let's just keep doing this. That was part of our training regime. This is the flagpole hike in San Juan Capistrano. Some of you see that flagpole up overlooking Dana Point. We would pull our tires up there. And of course, we heard all the jokes, right? Hey, you got something stuck on the back of your backpack, or can I have a ride, or are you tired? We heard them all. This is really a great way to get in shape. So then we loaded up, we got on the plane and headed off to Nepal. So just a quick geography lesson. This Indian subcontinent here is slamming into the main Asian continent, and it's causing an uplift, a geological uplift. So the tallest mountains in the world are right here on that seam, and mostly in the country of Nepal, right on the border of Nepal and China. And so we flew into Kathmandu, and we were really amazed to be in this Himalayan range. So it's right there in the country of Nepal between India and China. And Kathmandu is an amazing city. That's where we started. If you have a chance to travel there, really unique blend of cultures. Yeah, you can see the rickshaws going on here, all kinds of stuff. You've got Hinduism in the south and Buddhism in the north. It's all kind of smashed together in Kathmandu. It's a great place to start. We then took off on a small plane for a teeny village called Lukla, and they call this is pretty cool, they call it the most dangerous airport in the world. So this runway right here ends at a cliff, a few thousand feet. So when the pilot brings the plane in, you're bouncing around, and you hope that he doesn't, come a little low, and that happens every once in a while. But he dumps it right on the runway and then has to brake quickly because it just goes into the face of the mountain. And of course, taking off, you hope you get enough lift, you just sort of drop off the end. That's the start of this adventure, just getting. So we get to Lukla, get out of that plane and hit the trail. It's a 35-mile hike just to get to base camp. So we didn't do, before you do the climbing, you just have to hike in to base camp. But it was great trekking through this Khumbu Valley, this beautiful part of Nepal. And you'll see a lot of prayer flags all over Nepal. That's a Buddhist tradition where they write prayers on these colorful flags. And then as they flap in the wind, it releases the prayers out into the world. You can see we brought some prayer flags from Nepal over there, over by the gear. One of the stops we made on the way in was to a Buddhist monastery. And this part of the world is very religious, and so we respected their local traditions. We actually met with a Lama incarnate. And this, in terms of the religious ranking, we were very lucky to have an audience. This is someone who sits up there. He's at about 15,000 feet. So that's higher than the summit of Mount Everest. Just sitting with his legs crossed, often in meditation. But he greets climbers who are coming through trying to climb Mount Everest and gives them advice. So his advice to us was to take care of your teammates, be a great team member, and have an inner peace. When things start getting a little wild, or the weather changes, or you get tired, just maintain that inner peace. And that's something we both use back here when you're sitting in traffic or whatever the case is, mad at somebody. You maintain inner peace. And he gave us these necklaces. I still have mine from when he gave them to us. And these cords, it's just a reminder to try to maintain that inner peace. It was a neat message to hear while we were up there. And he blesses you and then sends you on your way. So, 35 miles later, you end up at Everest Base Camp. And it's right down in here. It's a little hard to see, but little teeny yellow dots. That's Everest Base Camp. And essentially, this is Mount Everest. That's the highest mountain in the world. And this is Lhotse. Lhotse is the fourth highest mountain in the world. And what's kind of interesting, the route goes up here. For a lot of the time, you're actually climbing Lhotse, this mountain. And then you make a hard left turn, and then you actually get on the summit pyramid of Mount Everest and climb that. So I'll show you a little bit of footage as we make our way up. There's another picture just with some camps. We got base camp down here, camp 1, camp 2, camp 3, camp 4, and the summit. And Himalayan climbing is a little different than maybe some of the backpacking trips you've done where you go up and you spend the night, you go higher, and then you go to the summit and you come all the way back down. Himalayan peaks are so high that your body just could never do that. So you do what are called climbing rotations. So we would start at base camp. This is 17,500, 17,600. We'd climb up to camp 1 at 19,500 feet, be exhausted, and then come back down to base camp and recover for 3 or 4 days. Then we felt strong enough, we'd go back up to Camp 1, and then go up to Camp 2 at 21,000 feet. This is higher than Mount McKinley. Maybe go up toward Camp 3, come all the way back down. Then go up again, spend the night at Camp 3, then all the way back down. So you're doing these rotations, each of which takes several days and is just exhausting. But that's the way you build up your blood cells and acclimatize your body to take your crack at the summit, which is at 29,035 feet. So a little bit about base camp real quick. This is where we stayed for nearly 2 months. This is my dad's tent, this is my tent. Some pretty nice accommodations there down at base camp. The snow, the weather changed all the time. You guys know what this is, right? That's the bathroom, yep. So you just kind of got a hole in the rocks here. You kind of get used to doing that whole thing in base camp. Before we went up, we had a special ceremony. This is called a puja ceremony. Raise your hand if you've ever heard of Sherpas, or that term Sherpa. Okay, so you know that these are people who help out on expeditions. And Sherpa is actually an ethnicity that describes their ethnic group. And they are crucial to the success of an Everest expedition. Sherpa people are born in this part of the world, often at high altitude, so they're sort of born acclimatized. Often they live at 14,000, 15,000 feet, and they're very, very strong climbers. So, but they have a little bit different perspective than we do. In the West, we'll look up and see a mountain and say, hey, I want to climb that mountain. I wonder what it looks like if you're standing on top of it. There's Saddleback Mountain. I'd like to go up Saddleback. I'm going to go to the Holy Jim Trail and go to the top. For Sherpas, they look at a mountain with real reverence. And they don't necessarily want to go to the top. And they believe their spirits and all kinds of things. So before we went up, they hold a ceremony to ask for a safe passage. And it's kind of funny.